What's up, baby? You don't know this, but today is kind of a monumentous day. Because today is the day that I finally have decided to try Curlformers for the first time. Now, I've had this pack of Curlformers literally for a couple of years. Not to mention a few bootleg ones I got on eBay. But I've never ever actually tried Curlformers or bootleg Curlformers because they scare me. I bought these back when Whitney, Natural85, was doing tons of videos on her Curlformers, and she would always get this great stretch, and I was very inspired. And then I realized after I bought them, my hair is nothing like hers, and this is going to end poorly. But I'm feeling kind of curious about how these will work on my hair texture. Some of you guys know from recent videos that I'm trying to experiment with new ways to stretch my hair other than just leaving them in braids or twists after I wash. So I've just finished washing and deep conditioning my hair. I just have a t-shirt on it. It's a Biggie t-shirt, by the way, because that's how I roll. And I'm going to try my hand at finally using these Curlformers that I've had sitting in my closet, not doing shit. I'm scared, so I'm gonna need you guys to pray for me and hope that I don't rip my hair out from the root with this process. My hair is somewhat already parted off, at least horizontally, so I'm probably just gonna go through trying to make clean sections as much as possible so that hook doesn't snag my hair. I'm gonna moisturize my hair with this burdock root butter cream just because I don't really care about having, you know, the style of Curlformers. I really just want it to stretch my hair, so I'm not really worried about hold or anything like that. I just want the stretch. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get the hang of installing these things, and assuming I don't give up, I'll come back when I have just a few sections left to show you guys how I'm doing it. You guys, a lot of things have been learned today. But I am mostly done with installing these Curlformers. I do have enough left. I just have these two twists, these two sections to get Curlformered. So here is how I have figured out how to do it. The back of your head is going to be the hardest part, let me tell you that first and foremost, because you can't see the back of your own head, and because you're using both hands, you can't have like a second mirror to try to see what you're doing. So that was far and away the most challenging thing. I'm just applying my moisturizer first. But this is how I've been doing it, and I think I've kind of worked out a technique, because I think the first one took me upwards of 10-15 minutes to figure out. Just pulling some shit hairs out. And then I would occasionally run into ones that were just such an awkward angle that it was like doing the first one all over again. But for the most part, there is a learning curve, and once you get past it, it does go a lot easier. So there are certain things that I have figured out that make it a lot more doable to get these things in your head. I'm hoping I get a good result with this, because it would be really nice to have this as an option to stretch my hair. I don't know if I mentioned in the earlier clip, but I'm planning to sit under my dryer. I'm not going to sleep with these in because no. So for each section, I've just been applying my moisturizer and then just grabbing and going sections. You can kind of see the size of my sections up here. I try not to go, bigger than the Curlformers width itself. The Curlformers are two colors. The pink ones go in one direction and the orange ones are curled in the other direction. So that's what the difference is between them. One thing I've noticed with my pack, which again I've had for years, but this is my first time opening it and using them, I've noticed that the orange ones, the opening down here, a lot of them, it's almost like fused shut, like it's been very hard to actually get the hook through them. I haven't had that problem with any of the pink ones for whatever reason. And I've just been alternating the colors by the row of hair that I'm on. There's really not any more rhyme or reason to it other than that. And then I've been dampening my hair before installing each one because it's been drying as I've been doing this. I don't know how long I've been working on this because I forgot to look at a clock before I started. But it's probably best that I do not know. Here is the way I've sort of worked this out so I don't rip my hair out. First, I'm gonna clip away the hair that I'm not putting in this roller right now. And then I just do one last bit of finger detangling. So then you take the thing with your Curlformer on there, obviously. I'm taking the hook, and rather than twisting the roots, which I've seen a lot of people do in videos, I'm not doing that because then when you take them out, you've got this weird twisted root and then the curl, and I feel like it looks really bizarre. What I do is I just pinch the root of my hair And it's hard to see because my fingers are blocking, but there's no other way for me to show this to you guys without potentially ripping my hair out, so bear with me. And then after pinching it, I load it into the eye of the hook, and then I try to kind of scoot it all to the back, the closed side of the hook rather than the open side, so that there's no hair getting snagged on the opening of the hook. And then I also run my finger over the top and bottom of the opening to try to encourage any hairs that might be meandering around there to go inside. So I do that a few times. Then I check it in the mirror, make sure it looks like all the hair is where I want it to be. Keeping the hook flush against my scalp, I press down and then actually kind of cheat it a little and poke it into the curl former with my fingers so that the hair stays in place. All right, so we got that one in, but here's something else I learned today is that these are not quite long enough for my hair. These are the extra long and wide curl formers, so they are up to 22 inches long of hair. I don't think my hair is longer than that, but this has been happening all day with hair kind of dangling out the bottom. I only discovered this because this is another thing that happens after you install the curl former. It might look like this. Obviously that's incorrect. So I take my thumb, I'm pinching it to the root so I don't accidentally take it off with this hand, and then I take my thumb and forefinger on the other hand and I stretch it out. And then you can kind of tug and stretch the curl former out, and you'll see that pretty much almost all of my ends that were sticking out are in there now. They're still a little bit sticking out, but it's way better than it was. And then you let go, and it usually goes into the correct shape that it's supposed to be. Let's get that one out of the way, and I'll try to show you guys another one. You guys, this is the last one. Praise the Lord. See, this is what I'm talking about. I've got an orange one here, and quite a few of them have had this issue where the ending was not quite open. In fact, one of them I had to cut open, and I think I'm gonna have to do that with this one too. Actually, I'm just gonna set this one aside and cut it open later because I wanna just get this thing in my head and finish this installation, so I'm just gonna grab another one that is not freaking defective. And again, you can see we still got that issue with my ends not quite being inside, so I'm just gonna stretch it out. And now they are inside. Okay, you guys, we did it. I look like an insane person, but it was worth it. At least hopefully it will be. I guess we'll find out when I take these things out. I'm gonna go sit under my dryer for an hour, maybe an hour and a half if I can stand it. And then after that, I'm just gonna let them air dry. Once it's time to take these things out of my head, I will be back to show you what kind of results we got. I'm as curious as you are. Slight change of plans. I did sit under the dryer as planned for an hour, hour and a half. And the issue I was having with that was because these things sort of hang down, I didn't really feel like they were getting all of the warm air from the dryer the way I wanted. About halfway through, I got the brilliant idea to take a headband and kind of almost try to ponytail them to lift the ones in the back up. But I didn't think of that until 45 minutes to an hour in, and I was like, I don't know how much longer I can stand this. So the ends of the ones in the back were only sort of up and in the warm air for 45 minutes, maybe half an hour. And I didn't feel super confident that my hair was going to be dry. And I didn't really want to sleep in these things either, but then I remembered that I have a shaved side. So I actually did have a way to be able to kind of get some sleep. You can see that my eyes are still kind of puffy because I didn't sleep that well, but I was able to sleep because of my shaved side, so I did end up leaving these in overnight. It is now the next day. This is how I slept. I just had this little silk scarf on top, and I just kind of put some elastic around these ones to get them out of my face and to keep them from moving around too much while I was trying to sleep. If I didn't have a shaved side, I would never have tried to sleep in these, by the way. It just ended up being very handy. I'm just gonna do it this way. Oh yeah, that feels okay. Okay. I think my hair is dry. My hair historically does take a long time to dry, so that's what I was afraid of, and I didn't really want to chance it by taking them out yesterday. By the way, I never mentioned, out of the 40 pack of Curlformers, I had 4 left over, so by the power of arithmetic, I used 36 in total. Based on this first curl, one thing I'm really happy about is that the curl is not super tight like the actual Curlformer. I was nervous that I was going to get super tight Shirley Temple curls because I'm not really doing this for the style like I mentioned, I'm doing this for the stretch. And as you can see, I've got a pretty good stretch based on this first one. Once I take a few more out, I'll zoom in so you guys can get a closer idea of the stretch that I got and see the texture of my hair. But let's just get busy with taking these things out because I want them out of my head. It probably took me 2 to 3 hours to install them. So I'm sure that'll get faster with more experience. My concern is I'm trying to sort out ways to stretch my hair without inflicting too much damage upon it. And I feel like the Curlformer process, the installation and the actual material can inflict a lot of friction on your hair. Friction is one of the main things that causes mechanical hair damage. So I'm not really sure, I mean, they don't feel really scratchy or anything, but it also doesn't feel like a silk scarf. And considering I won't even lie down on a cotton pillowcase, this is definitely not even as soft as that. So I just wonder if there is, you know, significant damage being done as you're dragging your hair strands through this mesh sheath. So I do have a bit of concern that over time with continued use, these might be able to cause long-term hair damage. Because even now I can see a little bit of breakage with strands like getting caught inside trying to remove them. I also went ahead and checked out the Curlformer site, and I see that they now have a longer length of these. These ones that I have are for hair that's up to 22 inches long. They do have a super long length now for hair that's up to 29 inches. I bought these, I actually checked, back in 2013, September of 2013. I bought mine from Sally's, and with the coupon I had for 25% off and the sale price they were on when I purchased them, I was able to get them for under $50, but that's still pretty expensive for some freaking rollers if you ask me. But there are bootleg Curlformers that you can find on Amazon or eBay and places like that, so you might want to check those out. Another thing they didn't have when I purchased mine were the barrel curl style ones, the ones that are sort of like a fuchsia color and yellow, and they're a wider curl. I would have preferred those, but I don't think they existed when I bought mine, or if they did, they didn't have them in a length that seemed worth it to me. I think they might have had like the 14 to 16 inch kind of length, and I was just like, even if that's long enough for my hair now, I plan to outgrow that, you know, over the next few years, so it didn't seem worth the investment. Now they do have those wider ones in a 24 inch length, which would probably be perfect for me right now because these are 22 inches and I have just about maybe an inch of hair poking out of some of them. So that 24 inches would probably do me just fine. And I'm very pleased that the curls are kind of hanging and not really tight to my head like the actual length of the Curlformers. Like if they were identical to the actual shape of these hanging on my head, I was going to be kind of not pleased with that. To remove them, all I'm doing is stretching the Curlformer all the way out and then pinching the opening so that it actually releases and then sliding it down. Pretty simple. I actually just trimmed my hair in 1/2 inch to 1 inch all over the last time I washed my hair, which was probably about 2 weeks ago. And I wish I had waited because this would have been a much easier state for trimming my hair. So I think the next time it's time for a trim, I'm going to do a Curlformer set first, and then basically each Curlformer can be its own little section that I trim. That would be so much easier than my normal way of trimming my hair. All right, you guys, that is it. They're all out. Oh, I'm lying. One more that I missed in the nape. All right. Now they're all out. I think this has given me a pretty nice stretch. Unfortunately, a lot of the ends are still very curly, the ends that didn't actually make it inside of the Curlformer, so I'll have sort of like nicely stretched hair and then my normal kinky, tightly coiled hair texture on the bottom, like this one that I'm trying to kind of smooth out a bit with my fingers. But let me zoom in so you guys can see better what these things did. It's kind of hard to tell if it's actually like fully dry, but I'm pretty sure it is. So as you can see, there really isn't a ton of definition for two reasons. One, I didn't use a product that had any hold, and two, my hair texture. My hair, you know, will kind of always want to do its own thing, so it's kind of in the pieces of the Curlformers, but it doesn't have much curl to it. It just has stretch, which is fine by me. If I had actually wanted curls, I probably would have used a product with hold in it, but I wasn't after curls in this endeavor. I was after stretch, and that is what I got. Overall, I would give this maybe 1.5 thumbs up. There's definitely a lot of tedium involved with actually learning how to use the Curlformers without ripping your hair out. And I'm also kind of dubious about how safe it really is with repeated use over time. I feel like flexi rods might be able to give you a similar stretch because it's kind of the same type of curl you're creating depending on the size you pick, but you also won't be dragging your hair through a mesh sheath. And I feel like that kind of friction can't possibly really be safe if you do it too often. So for me, I think I do like the stretch, like just being able to kind of get my hair this stretch is pretty cool, especially with the use of minimal heat. I did not use any heat protectant because I was using a hooded dryer and I was not really too concerned about that. I figure if my skin on my face, which is alive, can be under a hooded dryer safely, it'll be fine for my hair without a heat protectant. I think this is a great alternative to actually blowing out my hair because I did a blowout on my hair a year or so ago. I'll leave that video right here if you guys want to check it out. And I got a pretty good stretch in it. I did a very, very safe version of a blow dry, just taking various steps which I explained in that video. And I feel like this is as good or better of a stretch. Even if I hadn't sat under my hooded dryer, I probably would have gotten as good or better of a stretch just using the Curlformers. So my plan is to keep playing with these no more than once a month, just to kind of mitigate any mechanical damage they might be causing with overuse, and make sure I don't use them more often than once a month. Generally, I'm quite pleased with this. I feel like this is a nice texture to work with. It'll give me more options for even just styling my hair. I'm probably going to throw it up in a bun, which I know seems like a big waste of time, like to go through all that with the Curlformers just to put your hair in a bun, but that's what I do. I put my hair up and I kind of leave it that way, and I feel like that's what works best for me. So those are my final thoughts on the Curlformers. I do think I'm going to invest in the super long set and or the extra wide, extra long set, the barrel curl style, which are 24 inches, because those will be long enough for my hair. And if and when that happens, I'll let you guys know. I'll probably do another video comparing or, you know, just showing them to you. But for now, I'm pretty happy with my results, and I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you've ever tried Curlformers or bootleg Curlformers in the comment section, and we'll just talk about our experiences and maybe give each other some tips. Other than that, that's it for this one, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm going to tell you that now.